All right, folks, now I'm back. Sorry about that. All right, so we went down to 58 or 57.60. I'd write that number down, 57.60. We're about 20 points off that low. And so that's a good number if you think about it. For the NASDAQ, it's 27.35. I posted in my weekly newsletter room about when you see stuff like this, you buy the SQQQ is worth about 40 cents. That's not bad, and I did it on TNT also. So, I always go to the TQQ, SQQ depending on when I see things like this. As far as Apple goes, Apple's at 194.70. It went down to about 193. I'd have to see a new low to think anything more was going to happen there. That was a pretty good hit they took. So if you go back and look at it on the calendar I gave you 2 weeks ago, I said this was a warning day. And so you had ample notice for me. I was looking for this. That's why I've got small positions on. And, but there's a high degree of risk involved in trading. Past performance is not, in my opinion. I think that we've got 30 or so days to get to July 5th. It's going to be I think, a bumpy road. I expect some ups and downs, and we'll find a bottom, and then all of a sudden we'll start putting some numbers on the board. I think after July, like I've been saying. So, does everybody understand the way I handle these things, like I do, by looking out there and giving you a forecast of where the trouble lies? You have to use that kind of information because that's stuff that you won't find anywhere else. That's just experience. And I looked at the market, I looked at everything, I said, hey, I would expect this to be a warning day. And boy, it was up to about 3:34, 5 this morning, and it was just looked normal. But I think this is just something to do. And like somebody just said, if you don't know what to do, look at the reference bars. But here's the pattern I'm following. And if you look here, I think we're in the stage. If you look at this big picture here, does everybody see at the end of May where you get the big sell-off right there? Everybody see that? And then before May's over, it rallies back. So if you count the days for May, you got today. It just makes logical sense. If it follows this pattern, probably goes in and then comes out of it. Maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. Anyway, this is this is what you got to look forward to. I think. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? How it goes down, comes up, then comes back down and tests those lows it makes. So we got a little range there to figure out what that number is, and then we'll piece the puzzle together. But you'll notice by about mid-June or after that, the market starts starts moving higher, and then after July 4th, the real buy comes in as it tests those lows that were created during this phase. And then we're off to the races. I think this is a pretty good pattern to follow, and we've been following it all year. It's kept us straight. There's the warning day there right on the 23rd, and I got one on Tuesday also, that day coming back. After that, you finish out the month, you got to get past the 29th and 30th. That's what we got to look forward to. We'll go light the rest of the month. We had such a tremendous month. No need giving that money back, okay? There's a time to get aggressive, and this is not it, okay? Educate, educate, educate is the message of the day. Any questions about that before I go to the sunrise? Any questions about what I just said? I'd say that was a big picture view of what I'm looking at. Now let's look in deeper at pretty cool. Okay, if you look at the market, let's just look at the market, okay? And Jonathan, that's the TQQ right there, correct?
Yeah, and the SQQ down below.
Yeah, notice the changeover from where the market was sideways to the TQQ went bearish and the SQQ went positive. And had about a point there on that reference bar move. If you look at it, went up to resistance. And I posted in there resistance on the SQQ is 2600 to 2610. Okay. Thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, just call out, okay, what's the next one you got? Gold is bullish today. If you look at gold, it's making highs and it's bullish.
And down below is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's taking a profit-taking day. It's had a tremendous week. I look for Bitcoin to settle out and maybe over the weekend, over this holiday, get some buying in there. We'll see how that works out. But profit-taking definitely in Bitcoin. All right, this is the signal. It came out. You can see clearly it said avoid the market. When you see E-mini, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, crude, 60, 49. Worries me about crude. Got the meeting with Iran today. Got gold bullish. God, what a feature this is. Bonds. Look at bonds. Remember how they were talking about bonds crashing? Ever since they were talking about that, bonds have rallied 1.5 points off the low. I told you. SPY, QQQ, bearish, gold. All right, some of the darlings. You can look at Palantir's down at 120, Nvidia's down at 129. Tesla, which I thought was going to weather it, had dropped, was up about 340, 44 this morning, and then it sold off. And Tesla's 336 right now. All the darlings right now are taking a hit. Core, I'm curious to watch CoreWeave because it's been in a world of its own. We'll watch it after RB3 for CoreWeave. Okay. Sunrise signal is very good for putting things in perspective. And I don't think NVIDIA earnings are coming out today. I think it's next week. You had to double check that, right, Jonathan? Isn't NVIDIA earnings next week?
Yeah, we got NVIDIA earnings on May the 28th, it looks like, next week.
May 20th, which is Tuesday. That'd be a good time to have some good earnings and, maybe we're at the lows on that time, okay?
That's looks like that's Wednesday, Tom, probably after the close on Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday then, okay? I just see many. You can see how once it broke 58.40, does everybody see that frame right here? This is when I went short. Does everybody see how it broke the lower part of the frame there after RB2 this morning? Everybody see that? That's an important distinction, but you got to be up to take that trade. Look at that. I had a pretty good day over in futures market this morning. Look at that sucker. It just kept falling. Okay. That was on the E-mini. See what the NASDAQ did. Look at that. NASDAQ did the same thing. 207.27. That's right down to support. Both S&P and NASDAQ went to their hard support down there, which is pretty interesting to me. Now we got to see what happens. A new day with the sun coming up. How many people like what we've done with the sunrise signal, tying everything together this way? Give me some feedback. I'm doing a lot of work here to orient you on this stuff, but give me some feedback. Pretty instrumental getting you set up right. Yep. Pretty awesome. All right. Helps you understand everything. Okay, good. All right. Dow next, right? Look at the Dow. Dow's, all of these indexes are running together. So that, yeah, depending on when you get up, sort of summarizes some stuff for you. Okay. Crude oil. I'm curious about crude oil because I would go short intraday on crude oil. If it broke, I think it could go down, maybe a target of 59.50 today. 59.50. Probably take that trade if I had a reference bar negative or something. Okay. And I might probe gold. If gold is positive after, I would say after RB3, I might probe it today. A little gold. There's bonds coming back at support right now, at 11.28. Does everybody see this powerful feature we call the RB frame in the roadmap? Y'all see how when it comes up, hits resistance, and then the next bar, it breaks out? That's money in your pocket. Where you go, Marianne? Using this together with MTI, you just can't go wrong. Any questions about what I just showed you? All right, the next thing I want to do, Jonathan, let's go look at where some order flow is. Let's go look at a live. Let's look at MTI. Let's go look at MTI.
Okay. This is SQQQ.
Yeah, everybody see that? It's confirming what the roadmap was telling us. Jonathan, if you don't mind, let's put in NNE. I made a comment in TNT this morning. I saw some money moving into the nuclears. You can see we got a buy signal in the long term, okay? And, I've been wanting to stay long this, and now you look, it went up to 33.40. Needs to go back above that, throw us back into a buy, but I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention about how the nuclear stocks, thank you, Kerry, for saying that. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me, especially as hard as you've worked on doing this. Makes me feel good. But anyway, you look at NNE, you look at OKLO, look at OKLO. Same thing. Nuclear's got order flow right now. I think that nuclear is going to probably have a good month in June. That's my gut right now. We'll know after the first 3 days. Okay, but it's setting up right now. You can see it. That's okay. SMR was another one. Same pattern. That's a lot of money moving into the nuclear sector, which means that you're going to have short-term buys in it as we go into June. That's what it's telling us right now. So write that down. Okay? That was the nuclear stuff. Look at Bitcoin, BTC. Very bullish. And again, it's profit taking because you got short term. The short term market is pulled back, but the long term market's solid. Everybody see that? You got to learn how to use both the long term, which is the daily, in conjunction with the short term. Okay. All right, let's look at Apple, see what Apple's telling you. I got to tell you about Apple. Apple's been a dog all year long, honestly. And if you look at Apple, you can see it's broke the short term way before the announcement today. Okay. And then today, if you're watching the short term, you can see how it went in that red area at 201. Everybody see that? Right there. There's your sell. Right there is your sell. Look at all those red arrows on the short term before you even got to this morning. Does everybody see that? How MTI will give you a forecast, bad news that's coming around the corner on Apple. I put gold in there, GLD. Okay, gold looks pretty good. The long term, if you got to buy it, what does it say? Buy it 303.70, right? Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And we're at 309, so it looks good setting up for today. That's gold. But again, does everybody understand? I want you to understand a big concept of mine. There's a time to be aggressive, and there's a time to be more targeted. I'm in the targeting stage now. There's opportunities that I can see, but I don't want to have just like we did a couple times in May. Okay, does everybody understand that? That's the way I trade. When the evidence is there, I'll take the risk, but when the evidence is not there, I'm very careful because I like to hold on to what I made. How many people like this concept of when the stove is hot, you take a little bit more risk, and when it's cold like it is right now, you back away and study and get ready for your next move. I think it saves you a lot of what I call the emotional energy that people use. You can't be in trades every day. There has to be periods of time you have reflection. You have to have periods of time that you see setups. All right, so here's in summary what I've said so far. I've said that the market is in a targeted state. There'll be targeted setups. Nothing though I could tell you that would tell me that it's a pull all the chips forward. I don't think that's going to happen until after we get through. Maybe there'll be 5 or 6 days or something in June we can cut out. But in general, after July, I think it's going to get a lot easier to grow your account. That's what I'm thinking. So what I'd like to do now is it's about 9 o'clock. And did everybody here that's a member of my weekly newsletter get the email where I'm going to start looking at SQQ, TQQ in there for the next 15 days, okay? Got our first trade under the belt. Got you 4 years of scholarship this morning if you had 100 shares. So you can't beat that, right, Jonathan?
No, you can't. That's a good way to look at it. You can't beat that at all.
4 years on 100 shares would have gave you 4 years of scholarship at $9.99. All right, tell your friends, I'll be back. I'll come back. If everybody convinces me, I'll come back at 9:30 for the opening. Let's have a vote. Who says I ought to come back at 9:30? Let y'all call it. Getting a lot of yeses here. Come on back, Kerry says. All right, I'll come back from 8:30 to 8:4 or 9:30 to 9:40. Let's just see what's shaking by that time. I think we got to sit here. And by the way, I'm flat the SQQ right now. Here's my summary. Market's in a targeted state, meaning it's not time to take huge risks. Actually, I think it'd be easier to grow your account. Join our newsletter and be part of our beta that we're running for the next 15 days on the SQQ, TQQ. Yeah, we'll stay in this room. We'll put a timer up and come back at 9:30. How's that sound? Well, admin, you got to say, are you long or short? You can't be long, E-mini. And here's the question you ought to ask yourself. What news? The bar's been set. Apple's in trouble now with the administration, right? European Union's in trouble with the administration. What news today might get people to forget about that? I can't think of any news that's going to motivate any changes to that major theme that came out at 5 this morning. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to remove all tariffs. I mean, they're going to pay 10% minimum. China deal, I don't know about a China deal, but I don't think he needs to. You know, some days he's going to have news, but I think today is to be expected, and we'll see how the day unfolds. But I'm not expecting anything to come out to change the trend. You'd have to get above the S&P. Think about this. You'd have to get above the S&P 58.75, my pivot number, to turn this market bullish. We're at 57.75, 100 S&P's down. Now we might rally up half of that, and that's short term. But I don't see a big trend change starting today. I just don't see it. I could be wrong. I don't see it. John, if you got anything else you want to cover right now, if not, we'll cover it when we come back at 9:30.
Look forward to 9:30. Sounds good.
Rob, I was going to buy gold futures, but then I decided that I would wait. I think the better trade short and crude. I'm watching the euro. Remember, I told y'all in futures that I was looking at the euro. I'm watching the euro. Euro rallied. I'm going to see it start selling off. Maybe after 9:30, I might do a euro short. I might do a crude short and a gold long. Maybe after about 9. What I'm thinking. Other than that, let's have some fun together. Make sure you got the tools. I'll come back at 9:30. Jonathan, do I have anything else other than my 3 o'clock wrap up today? I don't think I do I?
No, I'm going to push my academy session back to 10:30.
Yeah, you got yours at 10:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we'll see you at 9:30 and then 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 9:30. I'll come back take a look at it. $28 minutes. All right. See you then. Hey, folks, and we're back here at 9:30. We'll get the roadmap up and take a look at how we're opening. You got some buying stepping in down here, these lows. The S&P's popped about 7 or 8 points. But I think that the problem you got going on right now, if you retrace, you just sat here at 57, you got some pretty good, a pretty good selling that's going on. Apple's popped a couple bucks. Just looking across the board right now, this is not unusual to see after it went down. And you might write that number down, that 57, 56 number. Write that number down. That is your new number. Let's just call it 57, 55. That's a major new number for us down there, 57, 55. And so as the market trades back inside the frame, I think that the key will be to see if, in fact, how long they hold it up. There will be more selling, though. You can count on that, because anytime you see this kind of selling, the guys on the floor will take it up where they can get on that side of the money flow. The money flow is definitely to the south right now today. Just looking across the board, I'm looking at things like, Palantir, which was pushing, close to 130, 125. Now it's at 121. Across the board selling on some different things. The things I would be watching would be the nuclear stocks, because I think you're going to see what I would call some upward push there. Keep your eye on CoreWeave. CoreWeave's in a world of its own. That might be a play. We'll just talk about that a little bit later. Right now, the SQQ went up to its resistance. So you just got to do some numbers. And the numbers I'm doing right now is writing down where the QQQ open and where the SPY open. And I'm doing stuff like that. I'll keep my eye on Apple. I don't think take about 197.5, 198 would be a resistance area. So it's got about $2 more of room. Eye on crude if it breaks. Gold if it goes higher. Bonds if it goes higher. And these are kind of things. You're at 5. Let me just look at this real quick. You're at 506.18 on the QQQ. So we'll just see what it does. Yeah, so you're at 507, 506.18 on the QQQ. So far, so good. Was trading 507 on the SPY. If I look at SPY right now, you're at 570. Let's call it 576 opening on the SPY. 576 opening with a. Make sure I got that right. 576 opening on the SPY, and you're looking at 577.32. So you got some movement there. Yeah, Greg, the warning day, I put those out there because I anticipate days like today on those days that I've identified, and today's one of those days. This clearly would have saved you some money. It saved me money because I pulled in a lot of longs and stuff and took profits a lot quicker because I wanted to be flat going into a day like today. Just be really focused on day trading and that kind of stuff to keep my risk down. Okay. And we got a couple of warning days next week too. But finish out the month of May. May's been a tremendous month, even with us back here at 57.60 of support. All you got to do is look at where we opened the month at, which was 56.17. I think it would take a lot to get down to that monthly open. I don't think that's going to happen. Sort of fun to watch this develop. And, I always tell people, read my book, The Markets Never Sleep, because they never do. But let's just describe what you can do. If you learn the reference bar approach, any time, day or night, you know how to establish what to do with the reference bar approach. Right now, we just kicked off RB3. We're 5 minutes into it, and you can see the market's retraced. Well, you know to expect this is a sort of a sacred period during the day of trading, okay? And if you go back, though, I want you to go back and look at where we rolled over from. We rolled over from 58.58 up there at the top. And then that's pretty good. But here's another clue. Look back to yesterday, that closing bell trade. Does everybody see that? The closing bell trade yesterday, the 57.95 high. That's where we were at 3:30 yesterday. And then we broke that number about 2:33 in the morning. That was a signal. And then we broke it for good at 5 o'clock as we came down. So the market's not that complicated if you know these reference bars. Does everybody see the point I'm making about the reference bars right here? How you can, it can guide you. Like right now, we know resistance is at the bottom of where? The previous reference bar. And that's about what, 58, 35, 45 area, Jonathan? That'd be where resistance would be. So I can look at any chart and know that. And speaking of that, let's just go through a few charts, Jonathan, if we can. Let's look at the NASDAQ futures, see how it sets up. Yeah, NASDAQ futures, I guess it could run to 21051. All right. All right, let's look at crude oil. Very interesting crude today. I think it's already made one trade. I might make another one. All right, crude is coming out bullish. Where would crude go to resistance-wise? 6140 area? 6140 would be where I would consider, getting a negative bar and going short again. That's only 40 cents away. That's on crude. All right, let's look at gold. Yeah, gold's leaning more to the upside. You take out the 55 area, you're probably going to go higher on a reference, if you get a positive reference bar. Let's look at bonds. Bonds are intriguing. Bonds are intriguing. Look at bonds breaking out, going up to 112, 14, 15 area, and now breaking down. So if bonds got above, looks like about 112.02, they're going to go up today. So remember that number, 112.02. But you can read any chart by using these reference bars to tell you where to get in and different things. So let's look at a few stocks. Look at NNE. NNE. Way to go, Greg. I love hearing those kinds of stuff. What is NNE? Y'all tell me. What does NNE tell you? It's a nuclear stock. What is it telling you? I told you in the early bird reports that nuclear was going to be hot. Look, what is that telling you? Jonathan, make sure we go look at MTI when we finish checking the roadmap out for these, okay? Look at that. Well, look at a daily, and let me tell you where the target is. Here's where you got to look at it, Dime. Look back there. Is that a daily? Yeah, go back to a weekly then. Go to a weekly. I want to show what the potential on the stock is. Where's that? 48? How many people would like to buy stock at 32 in this market and sell it at 48? I think this stock's got it's got legs to get there. Maybe not tomorrow, but I think it's going to go up there. I'm long this in my IRA. That's why I'm bringing it up. That's NNE. Uh, SMR is another one. SMR is another nuclear stock. Okay. It's above 30. It gets a little good. Okay. Oklo, OKLO. Oklo. Yeah, I don't know. All these in various forms, I'll have some of them. Okay. I just put Apple in there and sort of take a judgment call on Apple. The easiest trade on Apple, folks, if it breaks that 193 area, it breaks that lower reference bar. That's an easy trade. I'm not saying it will, but if it did, that's where I'd look at it close. All right, let's go to MTI, Jonathan, and check out a couple of those nuclear stocks.
There's Oklo.
Oklo about 47.55. Set an alert there for me.
47.55.
Yep. All right, let's do NNE.
There's NNE.
About a buy right there, isn't it? Has a positive reference bar. I'll probably buy that today. Okay. We looked at Oklo. Did you do CCJ? CCJ?
There's CCJ right here.
Yeah. CCJ. All right. SMR. A little bit more work there. Those are nuclear stocks. Now let's go to some of the Wall Street darlings. Put Dave in there. Dave, DAVE. Okay. Approaching a resistance and support or breakout area. And CoreWeave, the one everybody loves to love. CoreWeave. I'd say about 102.55. If they start staying higher than that, they're going to run it up again. 102.55. My hand's off the mouse right now. I'll look at everything after the reference bars, but I wanted to finish up with the sunrise signal. It's so powerful to save you money and make you money. And you saw firsthand evidence of that today. I would use 57.60. It's called it 57.55 as major support in E-mini. 57.55. I'd use 193 major support for Apple. 193. Let's just see where this baby shake, rattles, and rolls. You're at 105, 506.92. So the market's coming back a little bit, looking at those numbers. Let's see where we shake out after RB3. I will see everybody at 3 o'clock, right? Stay tuned. I'll be watching.